That's yours.
This is mine.
And I just have some extras in case anyone else wants one.
Does the draping go to the person?
I'll just wait a minute. Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. Ladies and gentlemen, our service today, honoring the memory of Esther Lee Kaplan Rosenbaum, will be officiated by Cantor Marc Bachrach. Before we begin, please take a moment and place your cell phones and any other electronic device like a smartwatch on silent so it does not disrupt the service. Thank you.
Thank you, David. On behalf of Esther's family, thanks to all of you for being here with them today. And thank you to the staffs at St. Croix Hospice and Belmont Village in Chicago, Esther's caregivers, Monica Ramlagan, Betty Johnston, Tracy Persad, Doctors Meyer and Fink in New York. Those who would like to make contributions in loving memory of Esther can do so to the 3rd Street Music School in New York City. And thanks also to Esther's granddaughter, Leah, for the slideshow of Esther's life that she put together. The fabric of your lives has been torn by your loss of Esther, and that tear can never be repaired. Even when you sew fabric back together, It's never quite the same. So we begin our sacred goodbye to Esther with the Kriya ritual, the tearing of the garments. Kriya is always performed standing because the act of standing shows strength at a time of grief. Tearing a piece of clothing is a symbol of mourning, now performed by tearing a black ribbon. As Jews, we mark the formal beginning of mourning with this act. We tear a fabric over our hearts to reflect our grief and our tears and our pain and our loss, and we open ourselves in complete vulnerability, surrounded by the love and the tenderness of these family and friends gathered here supporting you, sharing love and grief. Will those family members wearing the Kriya ribbons please stand now? Only if you're wearing a Kriya ribbon. Okay. We recite a simple traditional blessing. Please repeat these words after me. Baruch atah Adonai, Dayan ha'emet. Blessed are you, Adonai, truthful judge. Tear the ribbon. Adonai Natan, v'Adonai Lakach, Yehi Shem Adonai Mevorach. You have given us the life of Esther, Lee, Kaplan, Rosenbaum. Now that life has been taken from us. Life is short. It often seems like a fleeting shadow, like the flower that blossoms in the day and then dies in the night. So teach us to make each day count. Give us a heart filled with wisdom and love like the heart of Esther. Match our days of sorrow with joy for all the years that we live, because those who sow in tears, as the psalmist sang, will reap in joy. Those who sow in tears will reap in joy, will reap in joy. Those who sow in tears, they will reap in joy. There are 3 ways to mourn. First is to cry, tears. The second is to grow silent, silence. And the third is to transform sorrow into song, to sing. So we will feel free to share tears, to share silence, and to sing. Hine matov. How good, how important it is for us to be together right here, right now, connected with one another and connected with Esther. Hine matov u'manayim sheved achim gam yachad. Hine matov u'manayim sheved achim gam yachad. Hine matov sheved achim gam yachad. Hine matov sheved achim gam yachad. Hine matov u'manayim שבר אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבר אחים גם יחד. Esther, we come here today to honor you, to comfort each other during a time of great loss and great grief. By remembering, by celebrating your life, by performing our ancient prayers, our ancient rituals. Esther, I never had the privilege of meeting you, but I am now honored to share what your family has taught me about you before each of them say their special goodbyes. In the Jewish tradition which Esther cherished, my role this afternoon is twofold. First, celebrate Esther's lifetime of achievements, mitzvahs, contributions to this world, to your world. And second, to break your hearts open to the full range of emotions that come naturally with loss. By opening your hearts completely, you will allow Esther's full love, warmth, and legacy to continue nourishing your lives. You know, the thing about being a parent or a grandparent doesn't end, never ends. Not with age, not even with death. Jeff, Craig, Esther will always be your mother. Leah, Ryan, Grandma Esther will always be your grandmother, and she will always love you, every one of you. Our lives are God's gift to us. But what we do with our life, it's our gift back to God, back to our families, back to our communities, back to our world. It's been very easy for me to learn from you that Esther's 92 years of life were a unique, awesome gift to God, to her family, to her friends, and to many delighted concert goers and music students. Esther wrote full chapters in her Sefer Chaim, her book of life. We celebrate Esther even as we mourn her loss. We offer our gratitude for the many gifts she gave you, the zest, the passionate energy she brought to this world during her tour of duty here. And Esther's gift to this world, her world, were many indeed. Here are just a few of the gifts that she gave and some of her life's highlights. You heard a sample as you walked in. Esther gave us the gift of her music. From her first concert with the Los Angeles Philharmonic at the age of 11, to the music her students will continue to gift this world with, Esther grew from a child prodigy to a mature and gifted performer and teacher. Esther gave the gift of her wisdom. Creative, original, adaptive, at the age of 60, she moved to New York and began another successful career. Her wisdom was fueled by curiosity and a love of learning. She systematically added to her knowledge and was always wanting to find out more about subjects, especially politics. She loved to read. She loved to find out new things. She freely gave the gift of her unique judgments and perspective. She was pretty opinionated on all topics. She had her perspective and really was not open to differences in opinions. She had her ideas, and she wasn't going to change her mind. Esther gave the gift of bravery. She was willing to speak up for what's right. She was always politically supportive of the civil rights of people from the 60s onward. She gave the gift of perseverance. She was persistent, she was industrious, and she finished what she started. Esther gave you the gift of her honesty. This was one of her greatest qualities. Authentic, sincere, trustworthy, Esther was honest, brutally honest, and would often tell people the facts, even if it might not have seemed appropriate. Zest for life. Esther was enthusiastic, energetic. She didn't do things half-heartedly. Everything Esther did was with zest. And her energy can live on in your memories and inspire each of you to live with more gusto, as Esther did. Esther gave you the gift of her love and kindness. She was warm, she was genuine, she valued close relationships. She was always welcoming and generous. She always gave to her friends and the people in her building. She gifted the world with her social intelligence. She knew what made others tick. Esther was socially responsible, fair, and just. She gave the gift of forgiveness. Esther was merciful. A master musician herself, Esther had a deep appreciation of beauty and of excellence. She felt awe and wonder in beauty. She was inspired by the goodness of others. Esther gave you the gift of her humor. She was playful. She was lighthearted. Esther brought smiles and laughter to many others. The gift of spirituality. She felt a sense of purpose in her life and searched for the meaning of life. Tikkun olam. How did the actions, the very presence of this beloved person, change or heal the world, or even the smallest, tiniest portion of it? Esther was one of the most generous persons you could ever know. She was always giving her time to students with little money for piano lessons. She spent a significant amount of her income contributing to the arts, public television, NPR, Jewish causes, and causes helping the disabled. And Esther absolutely lit up the room with her smiles, her charm, and her charisma. Big on eye contact. She was also a big hugger. Esther had a real way with people, listening to them, engaging them. This gift was one of her true superpowers, because Esther truly was a gifted listener. What a remarkable spirit Esther has. Just because it no longer inhabits a physical body, it will surely be felt by all who knew and appreciated her. The laughter, the tears, the word, or how Esther said it. These things, remembered, deep within you, are Esther's living legacy. Some of our relationships are complicated, cluttered even. We all have a way to clear the clutter of a relationship and get down to its true meaning for us now. Now is the time that meaning will just shine forth for each of you. You see, each soul has a Torah, unique to that person, the collection of that person's wisdom, their innermost teaching. For each soul, by the time of his or her final hour, Torah is complete. Teaching is done. Esther, I have had the gift of hearing portions of your Torah, and shortly we'll hear more of it from your family and your friends. We shared lots of words that describe you, your roles in life, the things you mastered: musician, teacher, mentor, mother. You did all these things and so much more. And then we shared lots more words that describe how well you perform these roles, like kind and loving and resilient and passionate and charming. There is, however, one perfect word for women like you, Esther. A word that says it all. One word that summarizes your Torah, your mission statement here on earth, and how you carried out that mission. The word is mensch, Esther Kaplan Rosenbaum. Mensch. A real human being, kind, honest, authentic, compassionate, generous, and loyal. Your Torah is filled with the actions and the deeds of a mensch, Esther. Hadassah bat Lillian, Esther, daughter of Lillian and Kazriel. Your Torah is truly complete. Your teaching here is done. And we are all blessed and honored by your example. And I know, I speak from the hearts of everyone here, gathered here today, when I say to you, may you now receive 10 times the blessings back to you that you bestowed on others during your lifetime. Friends, if you always love the ones you lose, you will never lose the ones you love. With hearts broken open by loss and by grief, we first call upon Jeff to bear witness to the Torah of his mother, Esther.
Hi, Mom. I know you're not behind me, but above me. I want to share with everybody here what I've been thinking, and it's about death. And the first time I heard about what death was when Vicky, our dog, passed away. I was 4 years old. I was 4 years old, and I saw Vicky, our dog, who was about 15, leave and go in with the vet. And I was wondering why she didn't come back. And you told me that, well, she is going to be something else. And I saw the aquarium there, and I said, well, you think she could be a fish there? She goes, yeah, absolutely. So that was my first experience. The other time I talked to you was when Dad passed away. And I was very sad. And you said, what's wrong with you, Jeff? Your dad is 95 years old almost. He's had a great life. I don't think, you have a reason to cry. And she says, I've also had a good life. And she says, I am really happy, of the life I had. And I know you are, and you were happy with that life. Okay. A little of this has to do with pictures I saw. So I just want to say that I imagine that you're up there, and I want you to say hello to Zadie, Nana, Judy. I want you to, say hello to the other Kaplans, the other Weinbergs, and your other friends. So I do picture you now in a very clean area, and always, and it's very, very white, and you're wearing a white gown, and you've got a white Steinway. I see a white Steinway there, waiting for you, or you've been using it. I don't know. So I just want you to. I hope your memory is with me. My memory of you is with me. And that's how I will carry on your legacy. I love you, Mom.
Craig.
I want to thank you for such a beautiful eulogy, Cantor Bachrach, and Jeff, and all of you who came today, and those of you who are watching online in New York, in Chicago, friends of mine, in Paris. I want to give a shout out to Alan Gampel, because my mother, she adored you, as you know. He's watching in Paris. I want to talk a little different things, how I was very close to my mom, and I'm going to talk about a subject that's very challenging to all of us. The Esther Lee Kaplan, you all know, she sadly left us over time the last 2 years. My mother suffered from significant dementia, and in August of this year, we had to move her to Chicago because the doctor said she had to be in a facility. It really hit me hard when she passed, because I got to know another side of my mom, and I know she didn't ever want to live like that, but she loved our dog, and she loved kissing me and hugging me, and Leah and Barbara. And that's part of her too. And none of you, I know you know that part of her. She couldn't play the piano. She struggled to eat, but she had a lot of love, and it's very sad. And I think that, the people who have dementia, it doesn't hurt them because I took a course at Belmont, I was involved in a group therapy for children and spouses of those who had dementia. And it's the hardest thing is not on that person, it's on the loved ones to see them like that. And, by the time I was ready to appreciate her, she left us. I just know her last words were, we were there Monday night, Leah and I. Barbara was in New York actually fixing up her co-op to rent. And Jeff was still in California, and our dog jumped up on her bed, and she said, "Let me say goodbye to my baby," and she pet her, and then the dog licked her face, and she said, "Okay, that's enough." And those were the last words that she said. And before that time, she was doing okay. Really, she was not in any pain, and I think she died peacefully. I think the Cantor, and you all know about her accomplishments, professionally. But I do want to add that I think how it affects me, her profession, is that, and who has a profound impact on her life and my life was her father, Cyril Kaplan, my Zadie. He really gave her that opportunity to play and pushed her. And my mother told me that at times it bordered, I may say, kind of on abuse, where he would hit her if she didn't play the piano, but like she said to me, I would never be what I was without him. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. I'll just tell you a funny story about this. So this is right before my mom's at the Ambassador Hotel, ready to play at age 11. I think it's 10 or 11. With the LA Philharmonic. And my Zadie, right before this big concert, comes to her with this like chocolate milkshake and says, Esther, this is for you. And she just said, no, Daddy, I can't have it, not now. And so I always remember that as he was always thinking of her and, nurtured her for this great career. And he himself was a cantor. So, she inherited that talent. And then I thought the other day about the three of us, how similar we are, my grandfather, my mother, and me, in that we all have these great interests, and we focus our whole life on it, and our profession. And with my Zadie, it was religion, and being a great rabbinical scholar. And with my mom, it was a musician. And with me, it's baseball and sports, But I love it. And the other similarity was, the three of us, we were very headstrong people. It's just how we are wired. And I always say, we always think we're right, but the truth is, the only difference is I'm really always right. I don't know about them, but that was something. My Zadie was not as effusive and about his opinions as my mother and I are. We let people know where we stand, and and in a way that's good too. The other thing that I think about my mom is, and she instilled in me, is this great self-confidence she had in herself. So just think about this. At the age of 60, She has this successful practice here in Los Angeles, and she gives it up to go to New York. And she got a lot of luck. She bought a co-op for $120,000 in 1993. And she was, over a few years, got a lot of students and made pretty good money. And, you know, I look at the parallels to my life because I officially left the Chicago News Guild after 26 years. And, you know, people are saying, well, what are you going to do? And I have an idea what I'm going to do, but I have the utmost self-confidence in myself that whatever I pursue, I will be really good at. And she gave that to me. And she always supported me. When I was in high school, she took me on a college tour. But even before that, when I was in LA public schools and I wanted to go to, I said, this is not the school for me, I'm not learning. She took me around to all these schools in the valley, in the city, and I ended up going to Campbell Hall, and I eventually graduated at Buckley. And then, you know, when I left Los Angeles to go to Chicago to live there, I never came back. And honestly, I didn't see a lot of my mom or dad. I kept in touch, but like most college students, you know, you kind of separate and you find yourself. But something happened in 1993 that really impacted my relationship with my mother. She moved to New York, which is only 800 miles from Chicago. And then I met my wife, who's here, Barbara, and we started dating in 99, and she's from New York. And her family and friends are there. So suddenly, I started to see my mom a lot, and I became very close to her. And we would go to theater in New York, we would go to concerts in New York, and she was a lot of fun. I remember one, and this goes back to when I just had graduated, or was going into law school. She took me on a trip to the Soviet Union. And we were on this tour. And she said, you know what, we should get off the tour, and let's get doing things on our own. And I said, that's a good idea. But no one in the Soviet Union speaks English, no one. But we went to the synagogue there. And at the time in Moscow, there were about 3 million Jews. And my mom is pretty fluent in Yiddish. And she was able to communicate to the Jewish people in the Soviet Union at the time, spoke Yiddish. And we were able to establish contacts and friends. And we had a great time and kind of going on our own. She was so adventurous and fun. And, you know, those qualities will always be with me. So I like my brother. I know I say what you say, Jeff. She's in a better place. I will just say a few other things. She was extraordinarily generous. I think you all know that. I mean, at the end, like I was overseeing her finances, and I'm saying, Mom, you don't know how long you're going to live. She's just giving all these charities money because she just wanted to give money, and she was so generous with us, and just just open her heart and pocketbooks to people, and her honesty. You know, she and my father. I have to tell you, my heroes are my parents. And many of you know my father, Malcolm, and they were extraordinary people. And the thing that they have both is they have honesty, generosity, and hard work. And that's what they taught me. And they taught me how to be a loving parent. And I hope I do that with you, Leah. So it's sad that Esther passed, but I know that she will always be in our hearts forever. Thank you.
Eleanor.
Oh, I think this will be okay.
Just make sure that you speak right to the mic because there's.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Speak right up to the mic. Almost eat it if you can.
Wendy Prober was a student of Esther Lee's. She's out of town and so sorry that she's not here to honor her in person, her dear teacher. But she wrote something and she asked me to read it to you. Esther Lee was my piano teacher during my high school years, from 1997 to 1981. Of all my piano teachers throughout the years, 4 before her and 2 after, Esther Lee was by far the most influential in fundamentally shaping me as a pianist. I came to her slightly broken after studying for a year with Robert Turner, the star teacher in Los Angeles, who nearly destroyed my spirit. I left every lesson in tears and with a migraine, and I probably would have quit or had a nervous breakdown if Eleanor, who was my mom's very dear friend, hadn't suggested that I study with Esther Lee. Esther Lee nurtured me and pushed me, but still allowed me to be me, which at the time wasn't a very serious pianist, which frustrated her to no end. I remember that the week before my solo recital, I ran for student body president, had a diving meet, and played Powerpuff football. She was sure I was going to break or sprain a finger. When I came to her, I knew absolutely no theory, so she pressed me to take a theory class at a school at the Dick Grove School of Music, but I couldn't be bothered. The theory class conflicted with student council, which was way more important in my life at the time. She begged me to practice more, begged my parents to buy me a better piano, which they didn't, and believed in me way before I believed in myself as a pianist. Her concept of sound and how to use the weight of the arm and body in creating a beautiful, warm, and rich sound is fundamental to how I play to this day and is the core of who I am as a pianist. Yes, I grew enormously as a musician in college and grad school. Practicing helps. But at the core of everything, there's a way of approaching the piano and sound that has been there since I worked with Esther Lee. I think she also saw a bit of free spirit in me as a musician. She always assigned me 20th century literature, once even assigning me a piece written by a friend of hers that I played for a contemporary festival. And that must have sparked something in me, because to this day I'm drawn to music that is slightly off the beaten track, music that allows me a greater element of interpretive freedom. I remember spending many lessons where there was more talking about life than playing the piano, but that was important as well. I think my relationship with her then helped me form the idea that every child needs a relationship with an adult who is not their parent, someone who can listen to them, mentor them, and be an authoritative voice without being judgmental. Esther Lee was that. My parents were completely dead set against me going to Northwestern to study piano as an undergraduate, and she helped me navigate the waters to convince them. She believed in me. I stayed in touch when I moved back to Los Angeles for grad school and then made LA my home for good. Later, after I married and had children, I saw her a few times when I would visit New York, and she even got to meet my daughter on one of those trips. Beyond that, we would speak occasionally, and I would keep abreast of her through Eleanor. I think I spoke with her last about 2 years ago. A funny thing about how music worlds connect us is that Alan Gampel, my boyfriend from my time at USC, became extremely close to Esther. They initially met when he was a young pianist in Los Angeles and student of Frances Robine, Esther Lee's friend. Later in New York, Alan and Esther Lee became extremely close, and he told me he was gifted her beautiful red Steinway. This is the only red Steinway I have ever seen. It was the first Steinway I ever played, and look forward to having that opportunity to play every week on a real piano. The piano at that time with Esther Lee was a special kind of weekly oasis for me. Craig and Jeff, I send you and your family my sincerest condolences. Your mother was a wonderful woman and with such a zest and love for life and music. I will miss her and miss knowing that she is a part of this world. This is my tribute to Esther. I'm using a Yiddish word, Schwester, which means sister in Yiddish, for those of you who don't know Yiddish. Dear Esther, mein Schwester, that is how close I felt to you. We met over 45 years ago in Sarah Kempinski's master class and became fast friends. It was the first time I heard you play, and I was blown away, as you were a phenomenal pianist. expressing your sensitive and passionate nature. We became fast friends, sharing our love of music, theater, and art. The only time I was upset with you was when you told me you were moving to New York. But as I look back, I know that was the perfect place for you. You loved the tumult and the wide range of cultural venues. Initially, you only knew 2 people in New York, but you were adventuresome and made many friends. Who wouldn't want to be your friend? You started teaching in a music school, and then in addition began teaching students privately in your home. It was appropriate that you lived around the corner from Carnegie Hall. I visited you many times and realized why you fell in love with the excitement and vibrancy of the city. It mirrored your personality. We enjoyed many travels together: London, Prague, Paris, Berlin, and a cruise from Boston to Montreal. Actually, we came home from Berlin 2 days before 9/11. We've shared laughter and tears, and you have been a presence in my life. Your spirit will always be with me. One day we will be together again, and we will share a final resting place. Gute Nacht.
Linda.
I'm sorry, I didn't find this photo in time for Leah. Oh, I'm sorry, yes. I didn't find this photo soon enough to put in the slideshow, but this is Esther and I in 2012 in Paris. Esther had been visiting Alan Gampel's family in Pornice, and I had been at a music festival in Italy, and then came to Paris, and Esther came, and we had such a wonderful time running around Paris. It was a very special time. I met Esther, Sarah Kempinski, who was the sister of my childhood violin teacher, Manuel Kempinski. I actually started going to the piano master classes. I had friends, and I wanted to learn something about how to coach pianists. And Sarah Kempinski put Esther and I together as a duo. And for several years, we played sonatas together and gave concerts. When Esther moved to New York, which was the fulfillment of her early life, she had gone to Juilliard for 2 years. And then her parents brought her back, and she finished her studies at USC. So the mother of one of her students, Paula, and Esther had become friends. And when Paula moved back to New York, Esther went to visit New York for a month. And when she came back, she said, "I'm moving to New York." And she felt like she'd been robbed twice in her condo in Northridge, and she said, if I'm going to get robbed, I might as well be in New York on the streets. And we were all very, very sad when she left. But what she did is, when I graduated from Juilliard, I only went to New York twice. But when Esther moved there, I went almost every year. So we were not only able to continue our friendship with phone calls, but she opened her home for both Eleanor and I and other people as well to stay in her wonderful apartment. So sometimes when you go to New York, you stay in a hotel that's not the same personal experience. Sometimes we didn't go anywhere, just stay in her apartment and play music together or read. But for me, it was able to go to New York, go to concerts, go to museums, go to plays, and have that rich life, besides continuing my friendship with Esther. Esther was a fantastic pianist. We all loved her sparkling sound and her virtuosity. She was amazing, and as Craig said, she had a fantastic class of students in Los Angeles, and they all had this kind of certain touch that Esther gave them, that they just sparkled. The last few years, 5 years ago, Eleanor and I took a trip to Amsterdam, and we went to New York on the way back. And Esther was totally herself, except that she was not walking well after the hip surgery. But we were able to converse as we always had. But the last time we went, it wasn't the same Esther. And these last couple years, it hasn't been the same Esther. And so I feel that that's an important part too, to still call somebody and to communicate with them, even though they're not quite who they were before, or they, say the same thing over and over again, or don't remember what you said. But now I want to go back and remember this Esther, the vibrant, loving, brilliant friend.
In a very real way, Linda, that's exactly what we're doing today. To regain the focus on an entire life, not just the last few years of deterioration. Would everyone turn to page 3 in Esther's Memorial Prayer Book, where we will read responsively the ancient Jewish prayer for the dead. I'll begin, and then I'll say the word together, and that will be your time. Compassionate One, remember now the precious, precious, precious soul of Esther Kaplan Rosenbaum, who returned to the realm from which she had originally come to spend time with us in her life. Together, may Esther's soul be intertwined with your great spirit, the source of all life, and in the warmth and serenity of your rings. May her spirit be joined with the spirits of our ancestors, Sarah and Abraham, with those of her parents, Gasriel and Lillian, her sister, Judy, her ex-husband, Malcolm, and with the spirits of other great men and women who now dwell in the bliss of paradise. Source of all blessing are you, Yah, breath of all life, who created our Esther and graced us with the gift of her presence in our lives. Together, bring her into being on our plane, and you chose to call her back to your realm in your own mysterious way. We thank you, Creator of life and death, for the time we had with our beloved Esther. We ask you to comfort us now for our sense of loss in our lives, for our somber encounter with our own mortality at this moment. Together, renew in us the faith in your unending love. Death is but a journey of the spirit from the finite realm of physical being to the infinite realm of your eternal embrace. For the soul of the human is a spark. Wellspring of blessing are you, Yah, breath of all life, who is with us in life and in death. El malei rachamim shochim bamromim, amsei menucha nechona tachat kanfei hashchina lenishmat Hadassah bat Lillian. Together translate with me. Great power of compassion, who dwells in the realms of the high, bring forth true repose beneath the wings of your presence to the spirit of Esther, daughter of Kasriel and Lillian. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom. Shalva Nachama V'Koach Zikaron Edna Alena V'Al Kol Yoshvel Tevel. Translate again with me. You who creates harmony in the realm of the high, also bring to us harmony and peace of mind, consolation, strength of nurturing memory upon us and upon all who walk, swim, and fly across this earth. You hear that? Yeah, okay. The El Malay Rachamim, the ancient Jewish prayer for the dead. El Malay Rachamim, Shochein Bamromim, Chamsei Menucha Nichona, תחת כנפי השכינה, במעלות קידושים וטהורים, כזוהר הרקיע מזכירים את נשמת הדסה בת ליליאן, שהלך לעולמה בגן עדן טהור. מנוחתה. לכן בעל הרחמים יסתיריה בסתר כנפה לעולמים, יצרור בצרור החיים את נשמתה, אדוני הוא נחלתה, וינוח על משכבו בשלום.
Ladies and gentlemen, Cantor will conclude the service at the graveside. In just a few moments, we'll be exiting through the chapel doors in front of you to your right, left, following behind the casket bearers and the immediate family. Once outside the chapel, please return immediately to your cars, and we're going to drive in procession to the graveside. Once in your cars, just remain in your cars with the engine on, and you're going to follow right behind the funeral coach and the immediate family. Following the graveside portion of the service, the family invites you to join them at Lou and Hetty Wolf's home. If anyone needs the address, please come and see me at the graveside. As the service is still in progress, I respectfully ask, please do not approach the family at this time. Inside or outside the chapel, please wait till we conclude at the graveside. Then you can express your condolences. The following have been asked to serve as casket bearers: Craig, Jeff, Leah, Lou, Ben, and Ray. Casket bearers, please come forward. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise. And please bring your printouts with you to the graveside. You're going to need them for the graveside portion as well. Thank you. They both go to the restroom.